slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ay, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a limitation. Hate plotting my elimination. Gotta go to Google for the information. I'm a superstar, so I gotta shine. Top dollar be the bottom line. Bottom feeding niggas out of line. Turn your heart rate to a dotted line. Yeah, my zodiac probably dollar sign. Got the energy to win it, my nigga, I'm feeling great. Got a date with destiny, focusing on my fate. I don't give a fuck what you rapping, you been a fake. I'm everything that they ain't, it can't be, it won't be. Wanna see me fall, I can't go, I won't leave. Coming from the block with plain clothes and police. Straight up to the top with bankrolls and rollies. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ay, 12 can't really stop shit, so I'm still pushing like a mosh pit. Ice dripping, think I'm hot shit in a yellow bucket with the mop stick.
Welcome everyone to Titan Esports Divinity League. We are in the playoffs and it is the semifinals between Conduit Esports Seoul and XSV Dusk. XSV Dusk is undefeated both in the regular season and the postseason, so should be an exciting potential upset match, but Conduit Esports definitely have their work cut out for themselves. I'm Caleb Peng. I'm joined with Anti. How are you doing?
I am doing well today. I mean, you did miss a 3-game series last week. So, what I will say about that, right, is that it's 3-game series, nothing too crazy to miss, right? We've seen 3-game series before quite a few times on the stream. But this time around, we're not going to be seeing... Well, we're hopefully not going to be seeing just a 3-game series. This is, however, Conduit Esports Seoul coming in here. Hard fought game 5, made their way through, managed to get to this point, and what are they rewarded with? The nigh undefeated XSV Dusk. And it is the sun versus the dusk, light versus dark, 7th seed versus 3rd seed, quote unquote. We've got a banger on our hands, I think.
Yes.
Right, because Dusk lost for the first time during those seeding stage games, and this is the time where if I'm Conduit Esports, I am studying each and every one of those games. Like, who were they picking? What were they playing? Is this something that we can actually exploit, or were they throwing for content or the seeding, right? But either way, there's bound to be strong teams that you're going to run into. There's bound to be strong teams if you're trying to make your way to the top, and when it's playoffs, there's nothing but those strong teams left.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's head over to the draft. This is a best of 5 fearless format, so any champions used in the previous games will not be eligible for subsequent games, and we could really go a distance in champ pool mastery depending on how many games to go. But we got game number 1 underway. Yone going to be the first one banned out, which I think makes a lot of sense. Not only is it a strong mid laner, but Frost on the Conduit side is actually quite good with Yone, so they want none of that smoke.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've talked about it time and time again, right? It's the range Frost versus the melee Frost, and melee Frost taking up the role on Conduit Esports Seoul. Definitely going to be one that they are going to be concerned with, right? But right here, my biggest question is, where do the rest of your bans go, right? Because you see top lane bans, you see mid lane bans, we see jungle bans. First and foremost, Viego, of all things, going to be banned away. And don't get me wrong, I think it is a good ban, but that is a testament to how much these junglers are respected. Midnight's Viego taken away, the Ambessa flex also taken away on top of that. So blue side first pick will decide a lot for this series. It is the Zehen. I do believe that is going into the jungle.
Yeah, Zehen very strong in the jungle these days, but you have the flex option as well if it comes to it. Interesting enough, they banned Irelia and Soul as well too, which is not. Oh, we get the Jax pickup from the side of Conduit. Also could be flex on top or jungle. I like this option, right? Especially if the top side of Wall Street and Kappa can both play Jax. It could be quite good. And we get a Syndra pickup, early mid lane being shown here, but Syndra definitely one of the safer mid laners, especially with her range. So we'll see. There are ways to counter her, but they're not really hyper meta picks. It's gonna be the Orianna. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, there are ways to counter Syndra, and I think that there's actually a few very good ones in the meta right now, like Echo, for example. But this is a call out. It says, hey, Jack, I don't think that you play this champion, right? And instead, just gonna opt for the Syndra Orianna, the very standard try and true lane. We've seen this thousands of times at this point. I mean, every single time you get the Orianna, they rush Merc Tread, Syndra doesn't get to outplay button her, and then it just becomes a 2v2 in the jungle. And we're continuing the trend of let's just throw in a flex pick, right? We don't know who's going where. We are following the hell out of Icarus or Midnight. I don't care who's going to be on top of this. Now, one thing I will note, right? So you have the Sylas pick here, right?
Yes.
Malphite is certainly off the table. Like that is just a guarantee. If you lock in Sylas, if you lock in Sylas, right, and your opponent locks in Malphite and or Alistar on top of that.
Oh, and there it is.
Okay, so we're banning Malphite and Alistar from the side of XSV Dusk because they're saying, okay, we're definitely not picking these into Sylas. You're also not picking these.
Yes, definitely. And that could be some really solid engage for them. But they are going to ban it out, and we get a Nautilus. Going to be a pretty safe support to pick up. Last picking their ADC seems to be the option here, unless they're going to play some interesting Syndra bot action, which seems unlikely. It's going to be the Braum going to be picked up. You know, great synergy with the Sivir for sure, and just a good meat shield as well. They do need a little bit more front line. And this is the moment of truth. Is this Zehen top or is this Zehen jungle? It is going to be a Zehen jungle, and it's going to be Renekton on that top side. Fairly safe and likely into that Jax.
This is what you say, and then it's the crazy Zehen support Braum jungle.
Yeah, and we get some. All right. So wait, this is what Syndra bots, Mordekaiser top, maybe. I mean, could be Mordekaiser jungle. There's a lot of flex options here.
So I know what I said earlier of why did you ban Malphite, because we already know that, you know, Jax or Sylas has to go into the jungle or top lane slot, and then Malphite just becomes a question mark after that. And now I'm sitting here and I realize XSV Dust definitely did their research. They're not coming into this saying, oh, we're just the better team, we're just gonna draft very conventional things. They watched, they know, they all obviously have an idea of what's going on here. It is going to be that Syndra bot. So the Braum, very, very, very good into it. The Sylas counter pick into the Orianna, which not really something that you'd anticipate, but at the very least, there's a lot of good ultimates that he can pick up. You got the Dominus, you got the Hunts, you got, you know, the Shockwave. There's just a lot of fun little things.
Yeah, I mean, even Grim Deliverance can be pretty solid too. But yeah, I was mostly joking when it says potential Syndra bot, but it looks.
I mean, who else is gonna do it?
Yeah, Conduit is not joking around at all, and they are just gonna lock it straight in. I respect it. Let's see how that's gonna pay off for them as we head into game number 1 between Conduit Esports Seoul and XSV Dusk. Going to be Conduit on that red side, and some really interesting flex options here, but we'll see if it pays off or not.
I mean, oh my god. Okay, so this is something that I had not realized until a couple days ago, where I was playing some games myself and I got hard camped by a bard at level 1. If you don't realize it, late swap detection is gone. it has not been around since they added in the lane quest, so stuff like this can finally come back. Islamic Samurai going straight in at level 1. There goes the flash.
And Icarus going to get out, but does have to burn a very important summoner spell. Meanwhile, looks like Islamic Samurai going to have to take the long scenic route back. Even drop some vision for his top laner there from Musical Rats. But looks like Frost going to go for a little bit engaged. This is a melee Frost, as we like to call him, which means that he's very comfortable on these very close range champions in this mid lane.
Yeah, but that is 1 CS on Wall Street. Definitely not the best position for the Syndra. Usually when you have champions like this and you say to yourself, well, you know, they should be fine laning 1v2 at the very least, should be able to pick up those minions because of you have all of that extra range, but instead was zoned off the entirety of that first wave. In the meantime, mid lane is still just going to be Orianna versus Sylas. Nothing crazy there. Bot lanes we're going to be putting a lot of our attention, but honestly not where I expect to see a lot of actual, you know, how do you call it? Not a lot of partying down here, right? Until we start bringing the junglers in.
All right, looks like the Zen just roaming this middle area for the time being, but not going to do too much here. That is Midnight with the Chinese characters, or Korean characters, I should say, on the name for the jungler. But yeah, I mean, I guess the Syndra didn't lose out on too much in that exchange, but we do grab the flash from the Renekton, and if a kill doesn't happen on the Renekton in the next couple minutes, that gank didn't really essentially do much.
Yeah, definitely didn't really seem to do too much is what you might think, and then you take a look at those CS differences and you realize that that's a full 10 CS up for Mordekaiser. That's a huge amount of experience up for this Mordekaiser, right?
Ooh.
And experience is a very big thing when you're playing as a champion who just says 1v1 me, bro, once he hits level 6. So Whimsical Rat definitely going to be enjoying that top lane position here.
Yeah, the Syndra bot pick it's definitely interesting because, you know, a lot of times you play these mage bots for more prio, some additional range, especially on the Syndra, but Syndra's a pretty easy, you know, safe lane for the side of Dusk, and you know, Outrage can do quite a bit as Frost goes in for some chip damage onto Jack, but doesn't have too much more to follow up with. Jack's going to have to be careful though, because the re-engage can happen as there's a fight going on the bottom side. Primo going to be exhausted up. The counter strike not going to land, as you see the Sivir and Braum going to back off in the time being. Meanwhile,
oh my god, Whimsical Rat instead just gonna get full on ganked to start off the game with a first blood. Now, the gank from Islamic Samurai at level 1 might have been able to burn the Renekton Flash, but why not take the entire health bar? And we're just gonna see it right here. Just tries for the 1v2. Honestly, a little bit greedy with that E there. And Whimsical Rat going to go down immediately the moment that claw brings the Zehen ever so closer.
Yeah, typically the Death Scraps is not going to, you know, bite you in the butt there, but Whimsical Rat does land that skill, and unfortunately does sign his own death sentence. Gives a little bit of breathing room for Icarus, but still significantly up in CS, and the kill does go over to Midnight, so not going to maybe help the Renekton so much in that matchup, as Whimsical Rat was a little bit ahead on experience as well. But that's a successful gank though for Dusk. Meanwhile, Conduit did not find the kills they're looking for on that bot side.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I will note at the very least is that Icarus is going to be able to even up the experience differential, right? So you're not going to be sitting at level 5 too much longer than Whimsical Rat will be at level 6. Icarus, you're playing with fire here. Dashing in at level 5 when Whimsical Rat is at level 6. If you step up a little bit too far for that one minion, you are in trouble there, but instead going to be able to get it, going to be able to hit that level 6, and we're not going to be looking at the level up Death Realm just yet.
Yeah, and still not great to be caught into that Mordekaiser ultimate, but can definitely hang in his own rights. I know, Renekton in the past has also always been kind of one of those top players, very strong in the early game, kind of falls off in the late game. But after talking to some of my top laner friends too, that level 20 does help Renekton quite a bit to stay relevant in that late game in this current season.
Yeah, I mean, speaking as a top laner myself, I would actually argue that Renekton over the years, when it comes to the way how itemization has changed, the way how the game has changed, actually to hold up on Renekton, we're looking at the bot fight.
Springroll going to be hit with the Dredge Line and the Counter-Strike as well, but the Braum does have to shield up to mitigate a lot of that damage, and this looks like maybe another unsuccessful gank, but more importantly, Outrage is trying to run him down. The Boomerang comes through and picks up the kill in the 2v3. The Zahen not even here yet, but not needed at all as things are going Dusk's way all over the map in these early few minutes.
Yeah, and Kappa Crusader came on in, said, all right, we know that Springroll doesn't have her flash. We burned it the last time. We're going to be able to cash in on that. Goes straight in for it, ends up taking a hit of that Winter's Bite. And the moment that that mark is applied, it is over for the Jax. Outrage just goes straight forward, says, you know what? I do not care whether or not there's a Nautilus in front of me. I'm flashing forward for this Jax, able to get that kill, able to net a positive for the team, and a beautiful turnaround from the side of XSV Dusk.
Got that control ward vision still hanging strong there from that early rotation from Islamic Samurai. But probably about the only thing going well for Conduit for the time being, as Renekton still about 10 CS behind the Whimsical Rats Mordekaiser, but nothing too bad, and nothing that Icarus was really punished for. But yeah, unfortunately, another failed gank for the side of Conduit, and not only that, but they give a kill back over. And the Sivir is starting to scale. 1-0-0, Cole already picked up a little bit ahead on CS compared to Syndra as well. And so far, the Syndra hasn't really played out so favorably for Conduit yet.
Yeah, I mean, the Syndra is definitely an interesting pick here, and the big thing about it is that you're going to be able to have a full-on gank in the mid, never mind.
Oh my gosh, that Dredge Line maximum distance does pull out the flash from the Orianna for time being, but now here comes the backup. Midnight here, Orianna going to be exhausted, but that's not really too consequential. Maybe want to exhaust this Zahen instead. Kappa here for some additional assistance as the mid laner has gone down, but I don't think they really have any firepower to take out the Zahen nor the Orianna for time being, so it's just going to be Islamic Samurai trying to hold the wave. But again, things are going super well for Dusk in this early stage, and they are, the higher seed for sure. So, maybe people expect some of this, but, Conduit is still trying to find some win somewhere on the map.
Yeah, I mean, Soul, Dusk, Midnight, we're just having all the themes in this one, but right now we're having a full-on grub fight. I mean, every single one of these fights just goes blow for blow.
All right, and you see Islamic Samurai here for additional assistance, but the Grim Deliverance does put the Jax quite low. Shockwave doing a huge amount of damage as Frost is going to be the first one to go down in this fight, and meanwhile, Islamic Samurai going to drop as well. Looked like Springroll did die at some point throughout that fight. Two Grubs going over the side of Dusk, even though they weren't on it to begin with, is unfortunately quite tragic for Conduit. But on top of it, it is 6-1 under 10 minutes. And a lot of objectives also going to the way of Dusk. It just seems like, right now, they just aren't strong enough to fight. But it's not like Zahen gets any weaker in the late game. And like we said, Renekton still has quite a bit of relevance there.
Yeah, I think if Springroll died there, I am also looking at Wall Street's health bar, like stat line there. I think it was probably a dive that we saw off camera, but in the end, Outrage definitely enjoying his life right now, right? As a low range AD carry, a lot of the times you're placed in these games and you say to yourself, well, you know what? I've got my abilities. I am never going to get a chance to auto attack. This is going to be a living hell for me. But right now, the Sivir able to pick up a lot of gold, a lot of early experience, and make use of it, most importantly. So that's Essence Reaver is coming right around the corner here, and Outrage, if you can pick that up, will be a huge force in these early drag fights. The moment that the next drag comes up, it should be a huge one if that Sivir can continue pumping those bouncing blades in.
Yeah, definitely. Still trying to, complete up that first item for Sivir for time being. But right now, both teams prepping and just trying to farm up those power spike items. And that first item for Sivir is going to be pretty big. But you're right. I think Outrage, feeling pretty comfortable here. Just chilling, farming. Both Summers back up too. There's just nothing really threatening her at all in this game.
Yeah, I mean, Outrage, he's been playing super well, right? As the Sivir, you have to, honestly, just as an AD carry in 2026, you have to be playing so on point a lot of the time. And that's in no small part to the way how the team's been playing around him, right? Springroll has been doing a wonderful job at keeping the rest of the team away, and Midnight coming in just draws a lot of pressure with that Zahen. But most importantly, the fact that Kappa Crusader has not been able to do anything with this Jax is huge, especially because Jax is one of those picks that, Conduit Esports decided this is our counter pick. This is our way to make sure that the Zahen doesn't actually have a chance to play the game.
Yeah, and, this Jax does need to be kind of strong, too. I mean, there's not a lot of AD options on the side of Conduit. Meanwhile, Wall Street getting chewed up here from the Zahen. Turret is going to protect him for now, but may have to back off here as you can see the members are pinging Drake. It is spawning. This could be a pretty big fight right now as Whisker Rat does take the 1v1 against Icarus off camera. But this is going to be looking like it's going to be a potential 4v4 fight. Looking for the second Drake. Wall Street really low. It's got to watch out for these ricochets. The Zombie Samurai is here for some additional assistance. But again, this is just a free lane for Outrage for the time being. And they are looking poised with priority for this Infernal Drake.
Yeah, Outrage is just cashing in on so many of these tower plates. I mean, I kind of want to see a little bit of a gold differential here between these two teams, but we're not looking at gold differential right now. We're looking at that second dragon and a full-on fight.
Dredge Line is going to connect onto the Sivir. Scatter Weak does a good chunk of damage to the Zahen as well, but Midnight is going to go back onto that Drake. Only a few more hundred hit points before they get smited, and it looks like it is going to go over the side of Dusk, but the fight continues as the counter-strike does land. So does a Glacial Fissure, but everyone's just getting blown apart as Grim Deliverance is going to do a massive chunk of damage, and now Zahen should be able to get the passive off and get revived, but I don't even know if they're able to take him down as Midnight on a double kill. Kappa does take Spring Roll in the fight, but again, another fantastic fight going over the side of Dusk as Wall Street has vision of the Zahen. Zahen might actually get picked off here. Wall Street looking for this, but Outrage going to go on the flank side, and this could end up just being another death for Wall Street as Wall Street has a bunch of cooldowns to worry about as a flash forward from the Sivir. A few more autos should do it, and Outrage picks up another kill. 204 on the Sivir with a lot of extra cash to boot.
A lot of extra cash in this server. I was talking about how much gold Outrage would have before that fight started. If it was a lot of, if it was like, generational wealth gold before, this is oil tycoon wealth now. That should be a almost a full item on this back here. But right now, Midnight going in on Whimsical Rat, this could be a tough time for the Mordekaiser. But the biggest issue with these fights is Outrage is able to free hit each and every time. You might think to yourself, oh, well, Midnight is tearing up these fights. That's true. Jack is tearing up these fights. That is also true. Springroll is able to just disengage as much as she wants. Also very true. The thing is, you have all of these pieces, and on top of that, the +4 Uno card that is a Sivir getting to free hit the entire time. It is looking dire for the side of Conduit Esports Soul here.
Yeah, and I mean, they have a lot of lockdown options as well there too. So it's not like they cannot get to the Sivir as well, but they just are getting blown up in a lot of these fights before anything can happen.
Yeah, but, we are going to get a little bit of that pause. You know the drill, right? Riot Games has the little pause for the pause, because what tells you that the game's been paused better than a pause on a pause?
That's correct. As Frost going to do, try to go in on Jack, but the Shockwave doing so much, and Jack just completely healthy despite the engage from Frost. Again, Frost is not a bad player by any means, but this has been a tough game for him in this matchup against the Orianna.
Tough game is underselling it. I mean, the thing is, right, you say that Frost is not a bad player by any means. I think last season, you could have honestly made a case for Frost being one of the better mid laners in the league, right? Yep. But this season, it's not even a matter of Frost underperforming. It's just the matter of players stepping it up, like Jack, like Midnight coming in to make sure that, remember, mid lane is not a 1v1 lane. It is all about that 2v2. And Orianna and Zahan together make a very, very good spot for this. But right now, Outrage in that 1v2.
All right, Counter-Strike coming through as it is going to stun up Outrage, but Outrage already hugging that turret. There are 4 members strong here, though. On the Hunt was popped for additional mobility and to avoid some of this. And unfortunately, another failed attempt at killing Outrage. Meanwhile, they give up the mid turret. Whimsical Rat also has to burn the flash, and now Whimsical Rat might go down on top of it. It cannot survive this 2v1. Death Realm is going to be popped, but Icarus is going to be the one to still pick up the kill. Good flash there to avoid some additional damage from that Mordekaiser. And again, just Dusk getting advantages all over the map despite some of these failed ganks, and it's going to be a Rift Herald getting summed up as well. So this looks like another tier 1 turret going to go down for the side of Conduit.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that they've been able to win so far is a little bit of supportal combat here and there, but even then, right, Springroll manages to get the ward, but Outrage just walking straight in towards the Sylas. Can you understand how dire this is for Conduit Esports Seoul when the low range, 550 range Sivir is running towards the Sylas and winning?
Yeah, I think the Sivir's also ahead on XP as well, so unfortunate for Frost, but you know, out-leveled, out-itemed, yeah, and the Merchants as well. I mean, for good measure too, right? Like we said, there's so much magic damage on the side of Conduits, and when you're this ahead as any champ, you know, you could build defensively all day long. Speaking of being ahead, Jack going for the solo kill onto Wall Street, and that's going to be Jack being unstoppable. So much damage from this Orianna, and that's 10 stacks on the Dark Seal as well too. This is looking really tough for Conduit. I mean, it's been a tough game for them to begin with, but it's looking harder and harder as we're coming close to almost a 10k gold lead.
So Caleb, I'm gonna say it, right? So I love Dark Seal. If you've ever played League of Legends with me, you will hear me say, hey, you should pick up a Dark Seal, like on any champion that has an AP ratio. I think Frost should sell his Dark Seal. It is not looking good for the Sylas here. It is also not looking very good for Jack in that top lane, but a flash to safety. But is it a flash to freedom?
Oh, yeah, that's a lot of CCS. The Counter-Strike connects. So does the Dredge Line. Finally shut down on the Orianna as Jack can be the one to pick it up. But they did commit a lot of resources, and now they're turning it back around. Glacial Fisher connecting out the 2 crucial members, and Whimsical Rat just trying to dance around for the time being. But Outrage does not worry about being stuck in that 1v1 as their gold lead continues to grow. They do take out the Orianna, but they lose 3 members in the process, looking like it might be 4 as Kappa trying to find a safe way to recall, but there's no safety on this map for Kappa as Midnight going to try to run down Kappa, going to hook him back in a bit, and this chase down should be the easy way to close it out as Concussive Blows will stun him up, and that's going to be Midnight picking up another kill, 6-0 and 4 on the Zahen. A great shutdown for the Orianna, but a little bit costly.
Yeah, yet another kill to Midnight, and this time in what essentially felt like a 1v1, right? Kappa Crusaders trying to run away, trying to use as many leap strikes as possible. Meanwhile, Midnight running straight towards them saying, hey, you had the counter pick. This was your decision here. I blind picked this, and this is what you're going to respond with? Absolutely not. The Zahen 6-0 and 4, a huge problem for Conduit, and the backliners are no slouches either. This Orianna, this Sivir just doing so much work here. There might be one Ori going down, but this seems like the entirety of Conduit going down behind them.
Yeah, Whimsical Rat can't even walk away fast enough as they are shredding through this Mordekaiser's health bar. And there it is. We are over 10k gold lead for the side of Dusk. I mean, they got 3 Drakes to their name. It's 19-4, complete map control across the board, having almost every turret still up except for that top outer layer one. And looks like they're going to start with this Baron, which I think is a good call. However, it's going to be spouted from Kappa. I mean, maybe you get a steal here, but I think if you go for a team fight, you still end up losing either way. As you see, Icarus going to TP over for some additional assistance. Good to avoid actually the potential gank as well. And I think, unfortunately, Conduit just going to have to watch and have this Baron taken away from them as Icarus going for the flank as well, warding off the members, and looks like just going to try to take the 1v2 fight. Spring Roll going for some additional assistance, and even Conduit knows they do not want to fight that Renekton. That's going to be a free Baron for them.
Yeah, and this is something that a lot of teams tend to struggle with, right? Where an objective's going down and you say to yourself, well, this is a big objective. We have to contest this somehow. You get to the objective, you realize that there is 0 chance that you have to contest it whatsoever. So you end up just sitting there and thinking to yourself, well, I can't really do anything. I can only watch as Islamic Samurai dies yet again. Dragon going to be coming up relatively soon here. But once again, there's so little that Conduit Esports Seoul can do. It is 22 minutes in, and the score is 20-4.
All right, Spring Roll, unfortunately not landing this kill, but Kappa still caught in a tough position. And look at Midnight, doesn't even care about being stuck in that counter. He's saying, you know what, this is minimal damage. I'm just going to keep going for it. As Shockwave does connect onto Kappa, Kappa slowly burning down, but should be able to get to safety unless you take too greedy of recall location. But Drake is coming up soon. And meanwhile, you see Outrage just continuing to farm up. This is a tough one, right? And Islamic Samurai dying earlier there. I mean, this is one of those times where as a sport, when you are behind, you're like 5 levels down from every single member on the other team outside maybe the enemy support. And it doesn't matter even if you're a tanky support, you tend to go down quite quickly. Kappa going for a potential flank. I don't know if it's going to pay off or not, as I think they spotted out on the hunt. It's going to be used to collapse onto Kappa. And if you take out Kappa right here, that could spell the game as they are down another member. And Baron Min is still pushing onto this turret.
I mean, Caleb, you came into that saying, if you take down Kappa right here. At this point, the question is, if Kappa can somehow finagle and escape, right? Because what in the world can Conduit Esports Seoul do outside of a death ball? And the death ball just doesn't seem to be working. The death realm would be as much of a death sentence as you could ask for. Islamic Samurai gonna be given one right now. Here comes the fight.
Oh, the hijack shockwave does a good chunk of damage. Frost going to have to run to safety, and it looks like their just pockets are so deep for the side of Dust. Even if you land everything, it's not going to be enough as Outrage takes up another kill. Counter-Strike doesn't even land as well, and that's going to be another kill going over to Dust as they get the full ace, and that's going to be game number 1 in dominant fashion, 26-5 to start things off in this best of 5 series.
Yeah, 26-5. 5 kills for the best of 5 to start with for Conduit Esports is not a position that you want to find yourself in. If you are an XSV Dusk fan, you are betting high for the rest of this series and hoping someone takes the other side, because that was a dominant performance for the side of the previously undefeated team coming on in.
Yeah, and again, like you mentioned earlier, they did lose some tiebreakers going into playoffs, but as far as regular season and postseason is concerned, they are continuing their undefeated streak. They still have 2 more wins to go, though, to close out the semifinals as they look to earn their spot in the finals. Let's see how Condor is going to adjust here or not. I mean, that was a tough game throughout. The Syndra bots, it didn't really pay off heavily, right? I think Syndra was picked before the Sipper, for what it's worth. Yeah, it's all damage, you know, but the damage, unfortunately, across the board was a little bit on the weaker side. Unfortunately, they kind of lost lane in every other respect, too. So, Dusk, you know, showing why they have had the stellar season they've had so far, and they're looking to close it out as they look for a spot in the finals next week. Yeah, and then we did have that 11-minute control ward. I guess that was like the high points for the side of Conduits. But as you can see, the damage and the numbers show that it was all Dusk in that first game. We're going to take a quick break before we get into game number 2, but we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to Divinity League. It is, Titan Esports. It's Divinity League. We are in the playoff semifinals, and we are just off the backs of game number 1, Conduit Esports Seoul versus XSV Dawn, or Dusk, I should say. Dusk picking up that first game in dominant fashion. I'm kidding. I'm with anti.
Dawn is around in
Dawn and Dusk,
this...
Dusk and Dawn.
It's XSV also has a team, XSV Dawn, but they're not the undefeated XSV Dusk going into this that smashed that game, only dropping 5 kills in a 25-minute game. Right,
yeah,
that was incredible for the side of XSV Dusk here, and it's really hard to pinpoint just who really manages to make this team shine as much as they do. But huge shout outs to Midnight, right? Played extremely well on that first pick, blue side Zahen, which ended up getting counterpick with the Jax. That counterpick did not matter in the slightest, right? In the meantime, right, Spring Roll on that Braum did a wonderful job at making sure that Outrage got a chance to play the game. Jack playing very well in that mid lane with that Orianna. That Orianna was supposed to be playing into Syndra, and in the end, still ended up smashing the Silas pick from Frost, which I wouldn't call it a counter pick per se, but more of a I should be fine into Orianna anyway pick, and then we can play around the enemy team. I don't know. There's a lot going on here. But remember, it's a series, and it's a fearless draft series. So some of these picks might look a little bit strange for game number 1. The question is, are we seeing this kind of drafting through the rest of the series, or was it the strategy of taking away as many mid laners away from Jack as possible?
Yes, that is correct. But I misspoke too. I've been saying semifinals all day. It's actually the quarterfinals. I missed last week.
We're not quite there yet.
Yeah, I missed last week, and I've time has escaped from me a bit. But again,
we missed you, Caleb. We missed you.
I was able to catch up on the VOD, which was fun to see. I was unfortunately struggling through the TSA lines, as anyone in North America or is particularly in the US.
This is why you got to get that pre-check.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, me personally, I did have the pre-check, but some of these airports, they've been shutting that down. So be warned. Go to the airport early.
I'm gonna be straight up. Like it. If I don't get the pre-check, I always get taken aside for a random inspection. So like I hopped onto that immediately.
Yes.
Because you can only get roped by TSA so many times before you're no longer okay with it. But either way.
Well, good. We're gonna have to see, and yes, we're gonna see how this goes. It's going to be, again, like I mentioned, a fearless draft. So everything used in that first game, you can see grayed out in the bottom side, are ineligible for this second and any subsequent games.
More Viego bans.
Yeah, more Viego bans. Probably more Yone bans as well on the side of Dusk, as Frost is quite good on that. Yone was, I think, like almost undefeated last split.
Was undefeated last season.
Yeah. So, I
think
going to definitely give that respect.
Playoffs.
Yeah, until playoffs. But we get the Gwen picked banned out as well. A lot of these strong scaling champions. And they do not want to see Aurelion Sol, which is interesting. I could have sworn it was Conduit that banned out Aurelion Sol last game. So I guess Dust doesn't want to see Aurelion Sol either, which is not super meta mid laners, but hey, maybe both mid laners do have a good Aurelion Sol, and we get a Twitch banned out as well. I think Whimsical Rat does have a Walshy, I should say, has a pretty good Twitch. And here we go.
I'm a little bit curious about Mel, because the big thing about Mel is that she's extremely strong in these fearless draft settings, right? Because when you get to game 5, all the backline divers are off the table, and this champion can really shine. Nocturne's still up, Xin Zhao's still up, Vi's still up, right? There's still so many things, and go straight to the backline and make Mel's life a living hell. But gonna be taken away. Ashe Seraphine, I'm just gonna guess
there it is.
Slammed. Yeah. There it is. We've seen it every single time.
You better ban out Mundo.
Classic 2v2 bot lane nowadays. I mean, it's either Ashe Seraphine or, Lucian Nami, Aphelios Thresh. I swear to God, if we see
Speak
Lucian
into
Nami as the
existence here.
response.
Yeah,
Ooh,
Lucian going to be
if we
picked
get
up.
a Felly Thresh for the third game, I'm going to blow a gasket. Anyway, pick something funny.
Well, there's the Lucian. I mean, they went for the funnies with the Syndra bot lane last game. Unfortunately, the funnies did
Keep
not
doing
pay out
it.
so
It'll
well.
work this time.
Ooh, we get a Nefiri pickup. Okay, so this could be in the jungle. Very strong in the jungle these days, but also could be in the mid lane. However, if this is a jungle Nefiri, then they don't really have that, that Dr. Mundo combo that a lot of people like to pick with that Ashe Seraphine. But we'll see. Maybe they're expecting that the Mundo will be banned out, so they're going to pick up the Nefiri jungle to start things off. I mean, that could easily be a Nefiri mid laner, especially with the Aurora shown. Let's see if Conduit bans out Mundo or not, or maybe they pick up Mundo themselves.
They do have fourth pick.
Option, yeah, it's could be a strong option there, and could throw a wrench in the plans of Dusk. I think this likely is going to be a mid lane Nefiri actually, but they have that flex option if it comes to it, and they actually choose to ban out Ornn. So
yeah, I mean, I do like that Ornn ban. Mordekaiser is off the table, so Ornn goes extremely high up in the priority level. Sion going to be taken instead here. Now you have to be wary about certain picks into a Sion like Darius, Aatrox, Set. There's a lot of things that you can pick into this champion to make it harder to play. Jarvan also being one of them with that Cataclysm. Make sure that Sion can't get outside of the baby cage. Speaking of baby cage, maybe we see the Yorick coming on in here. But instead, the Victor...
that's Aurora top.
And it is going to be the Aurora top that is locked in here. So that Sion pick goes beautifully for the side of XSV Dusk. And what are you going to use to round it out? The Talia. So that is the Nefiri jungle locked in for midnight, unless we're getting some crazy top lane shenanigans. But no shenanigans today. Very standard picks coming in from both teams.
Interesting. I mean, I feel like Mundo could have gone okay too, but maybe Jack not feeling as confident on the Nefiri in the mid lane. Also, Nefiri into Victor could be kind of a weird time if you drop that gravity field in the right position. You can't really continue that chase. There's very little front line from the side of Conduit. We'll see if it pays off for them or not. But this is going to be a lot.
You got it, Jarvan.
Of... They do, and as someone that sometimes has to play the only front line on the team, I feel for Kappa, but we'll see if Kappa can pull it off here or not, as this composition is very damage heavy for sure. However, at a certain point, the Sion might be hard to kill. Yes, yeah.
All right, Conduit Esports in the lead from level 1. Once again, we saw this in the last game, though, and it did not pan out well for them. The question is, how much more power are they going to be able to net off of this singular ward kill? I'm not gonna expect too much.
Yeah, as okay, we'll see how things go there, but I do like the flex pick that they had for Wall Street. Did they switch positions? Because Wall Street was playing bot lane last game, right? And Whimsical Rat was playing top lane on the Mordekaiser, or am I like seeing things? Yeah, so flexing their roles in a quarterfinals is definitely something. For sure.
They are flexing the roles, but Wall Street is not flexing the fact that it is nothing but mages up here, right? So Aurora, very, very good champion in that top lane, and a lot of the times there was a time where we were seeing a lot of grasp Aurora, right? And into a champion like Sion, it would be very nice, but instead, no chance that the Electrocute's actually going to work out into Sion. No chance that this fight is going to work out into Whimsical Rat. Oh my god.
Whimsical Rat getting a not so warm welcome into this bot lane for game number 2, but has to play into the aggression of this Seraphine Ashe lane, which is honestly very, very strong. Meanwhile, Wall Street having a much better go around of things in game number 2. Obviously, the Aurora is going to have a lot of prio in that range into the Sion, but the real question is, Sion's very relevant in the late game, so do they have the damage to take him down later is a different question. As meanwhile, Outrage continuing the dominance from game number 1 into game number 2, playing very aggressively in this bot lane.
Yeah, very, very aggressively, and whether or not you have the damage to take down Sion in the later stage of the game is a big question. And at the very least, Wall Street picking up that first strike is going to be in a position where you can at least get to the point where you can get those items to actually fight, right? In the meantime, Islamic Samurai just gonna walk straight forward, says, hey, my jungler's down here, we're totally going to gank you, and there's nothing that actually ends up coming from it. But you can see that proactiveness coming in from this player. I mean, Islamic Samurai last game on the Nautilus had a lot of those good early plays, but unfortunately just wasn't able to make use of the Syndra Nautilus duo lane.
Yeah, definitely. These are interesting rune choices on Icarus, right? Am I seeing this right? He has a Comet on a Scion?
That's definitely workable.
That's, yeah. Do you think that's intentional? Because that's the first time I've seen that. But
I would honestly argue that it makes the most sense, right? Because Comet as Scion into champions like, you know, Aurora that you're almost never going to be able to get an auto attack off on, will give you actual ways to play into that champion. Right? Like, sure, you're not going to be able to get the extra tankiness of the rest of the resolve tree, but when are you actually going to be able to make use of it? You're going to get tanky into Aurora anyway. At the very least, if you tap the decimating smash, you can get a little bit of damage off. This is something that we do see from champions like Aatrox into champions like Kennen, where they're giving up on the idea that they're ever actually landing an auto attack, right? And at the very least, right, it hasn't led to any deaths just yet. It's a lot of early damage coming in from Wall Street, but that's bound to happen regardless of what champion you're playing into Aurora. Unless you're playing something like Irelia, you just kind of sit there and take it. Welcome to top lane.
That's right. And Icarus honestly playing this out pretty well, as the Decimating Smash is going to land for some chip damage. And Wall Street does have the range factor here, but there's still a lot of health on the Scion, and Icarus not doing a terrible job of trying to stay even in CS. As there comes an Arcane Comet doing a little extra damage that Grasp otherwise would not.
Yeah, I mean, Roar the Slayer also has the slow on it, so it's pretty easy to get the Comet to actually land. In the meantime, pretty easy to see these 2v2s come on through. At the very least, Spring Roll finally ends up throwing out an E that doesn't hit Whimsical Rat. I swear, she was batting 1,000 on these. But in the end, we are going to be seeing the Lucian Nami still throw out so much damage in this bot lane. The CS differential going to the side of Conduit Esports Seoul as the Dragon is started up.
All right, Midnight is here. Going to try to potentially go for some type of COS. Kappa goes back out, sussing out that there is going to be a collapse, but they kind of leashed this Drake for free now. I don't know. I mean, I feel like they have Prio in the mid lane and bot lane there too, so I'm surprised they're just giving this up. But
wait, Wall Street's dead?
Okay, yeah, and I guess Wall Street lost the 1v1 to Sion. We'll have to take a quick replay on that one. As meanwhile, it looks like that's just a free Drake going over to Dusk, and things are going, again, really well for Dusk to start things off. Not really sure what spooked Kappa there, but meanwhile, you got a Sion winning a 1v1 against Aurora around the 5-minute mark, and early Drake going over. As let's take a look. I mean, you've got to connect Unstoppable Onslaught somewhere here, right? Because how are you killing this Aurora?
It's got to be the Decimating Smash. It is the fully charged Decimating Slash, Unstoppable Onslaught. Just the entire kitchen sink directly into Wall Street's face, and the stock market cannot survive that kind of a crash.
No, it cannot, as Icarus feeling good about that one, and already has a lot of magic resistance built up, but that's only going to scale further for this Sion, as it's going to play favorably into that Victor matchup as well. And Dusk, bot lane, going back to playing aggressive and trying to just chunk out this bottom lane of Conduits, as Whimsical Rat going to dash forward, trying to do as much damage as possible to Outrage, but there's so much healing on the side of Spring Roll, and so much peel, and Islamic Samurai already in quite low health bars. And there's no jungler in sight, as an Enchanted Crystal Arrow does not connect onto Islamic Samurai. Was a close attempt, though, for Outrage, but again, they're just looking to crash this wave and put as much damage as possible onto this turret. And Outreach and Spring Roll just playing dominant yet again in this bottom lane. Whimsical Rat, no mana left. It means that Outreach going to get a few more autos through and more damage on this turret. And they're just going to have to let this next wave crash. There's just no way they could stay in here. And things are, again, starting to snowball a bit for Dusk in this early game.
Yeah, I mean, the issue with playing double casters bot lane is that when you run out of mana, all of a sudden you lose out on so much of your power here. Whimsical Rat trapped under this tower, does not have the mana to actually fight back, doesn't have enough damage to really threaten too much here, even with the Pressy attack proccing. But in the end, at the very least, Islamic Samurai going to be able to keep his AD carry healthy, but can you keep this AD carry happy? You can't keep what's never been there in the first place, right? And Whimsical Rat has so little whimsy in this game. It's just been downhill from the beginning. Seraphine Ashe so powerful together. Very little that you can do against this bot lane, even if you do have a dash.
That's right. We're going to get the recalls coming through finally for this bot lane. Both junglers were there in that bottom side, but Dusk is going to spot that out with the ward, and Midnight was there for some additional backup if need be. This game, honestly, in terms of the lane still, it's looking a little bit more even outside of that 1v1 fight. As meanwhile, Frost going to catch Jack here and going to drop the ultimate. Jack going to have to burn the flash to get to safety. A crucial summoner spell gone, and going to have to pop the teleport to get back in the lane as well to catch this wave. But Frost going to catch
I don't think
Jack
it's
with
up.
his pants down for a bit. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, the teleport's not even up yet. Yeah, so you're going to have to slow walk it over here.
Yeah, the walk of shame, just gonna lose all 6 of these minions, and beautiful stuff coming in from Frost, gonna be able to catch Jack on a greedy recall. And remember, that is the combat summoners for the victor. None of those combat summoners on the side of Jack now, but at the very least, you are going to be able to use all of this map mobility from the Talia to get those ganks off, right? You're going to be able to go to a side lane, screw up somebody's day, and then just teleport straight back to lane. But in the meantime, the grubbies are going to be started up here, and Kappa is going to try his best to take all 3 of these grubs here. In the mid lane, Frost getting a lot of work done.
Jack going to be stunned up for a time being, and Frost continuing the damage here as Kappa looking to grab some of the grubs, trying to get on the board with these objectives. But here comes Midnight. Anywhere Kappa is, Midnight is following as 2 grubs do go over to the side of Conduits. Meanwhile, Icarus going to do some additional damage as here comes the Weaver's Wall, going to cut off the run away from Wall Street, and Wall Street going to pop the ultimate to try to get to safety. Oh, going for some jukes here, but the unstoppable onslaught is going to land, and Wall Street is not long for this world, as that's going to be a kill going over to Midnight. But Frost is here for the assistance, and Icarus, and Midnight going to be chunked quite a bit as Kappa's going to be one to pick up that kill. Frost going for some additional damage. That's making is going to knock up 2 members, and Icarus doing as much damage as possible. The zombie form might do something, but is going to be stunned up from the Victor to slow things down, and great rotation from Frost to pick up some kills there. Now going to be 3-2 on the scoreboard. Pretty successful exchange for Conduit.
Yeah, wonderful stuff coming in from Conduit Esports Soul here. Going to be able to pick up 2 of those grubbies, and most importantly, get some takedowns on their Victor. Right, this is a champion that needs CS, that needs takedowns in order to get to a point where you can get that Victor wet dream, right? You know, the just full-on fight in this bot lane. Hold on.
The Aqua person lands, and the Tidal Wave going to be the one to clean up that kill. Kill does go over to the Nami, unfortunately, but taking Outrage out of the lane and grabbing a kill over is going to be quite nice, as Icarus going to land another Destiny Smash onto Wall Street for the time being, but great Aqua Prism from Islamic Samurai to set that up.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, right, when it comes to the early game fights and the early game gold for Nami, if you're playing a Nami Lucian lane and the Nami gets those early kills, that's still more damage, right? You know, you are still getting that Imperial Mandate. That is the culling being dropped down onto this dragon here. So whether or not you're going to have the actual fight is a question.
Yeah, Lucian
disengage?
Out of mana as the crystal enchanted crystal arrow is going to land onto the Islamic Samurai. Islamic Samurai going to be the first to go down, and the pursuit comes through. And Midnight picking up the steal on the Cloud Drake. Kappa's going to have to run to safety, but a huge fight for Dusk. And unfortunately, Whimsical Rat burned all of his mana just to try to take the Drake, but unfortunately only leashed it for Dusk, as Midnight grabbing that steal, trying to assert dominance in this head-to-head matchup, but Overstayed is welcome as a Cataclysm, and J4 going to pick up that kill. Frost picks up another one onto Jack, getting a little maybe overconfident there after the Drake steal. 2 kills going back over to Conduit.
Yeah, and XSV Dusk getting caught with their pants down, just playing over tempo again and again, right? It was something that looked over tempo from Conduit Esports from the get-go, but the immediate turnaround into the turnaround on the turnaround was something that they weren't prepared for. And in the meantime, the 1v1 in the top lane seems to be the only stable thing in this game. It's pretty much just Icarus wins, right? Nothing too crazy about it. In the meantime, the rest of the map has been so heavily impacted by Kappa Crusader, right? This Jarvan just absolutely everywhere, every single waking moment, and the culling goes down, a lot of damage as well, but I don't think that there's any chance of seeing a kill in the spot lane anytime soon until the junglers come and make it so difficult to play the game.
Yeah, once go right, unfortunately out of mana, so can't do anything too much additional there. And there's just so much healing coming from that Seraphine. But great backtimers as Midnight is going to go for a potential gank onto Wall Street, but Wall Street does snuff it out. And Wall Street does not have Between Worlds up though, so has a little bit less escape mechanics. Also doesn't have flash up, so has to play a little bit cautiously. But Midnight going to go back to his jungle for some additional farm. But this game, a lot closer than the last game for sure. In fact, Conduit actually has a goal lead. There's objective lead, at least on the Drake side for Dusk. But meanwhile, here comes the gank. Kappa going in for it. Going to be stunned up for a second. But Outrage getting chunked away as Encore going to connect. However, just one more auto will do as Kappa picks it up. Picks up a double kill with the Cataclysm. Kappa starting this game off completely different. 5-0-2. Thunder Sky already completed up as well, looking for some additional plating on this bot side. I mean, I don't think they could probably take this turret, but they're going to do a good amount of damage to it.
What in the world is that Jarvan damage? Are we sure that Kappa Crusader is the one who built Sundered Sky and not the one who built the Hubris? Because that was just disgusting coming in from this Jarvan. So much damage coming on in. I said I didn't expect to see any kills until the junglers came in and made it essentially unplayable for the AD carries. This is exactly what we're talking about, right? It's so much damage coming in from Kappa Crusader, and most importantly, the sums burnt on top of it. In the meantime, the 1v1 in the jungle actually going to be going the way of Midnight for a little bit, but the question is, are you going to get much follow-up?
Kappa going to pick that up as going for some additional damage as here comes the Tideway. Very long distance, unfortunately not catching anyone for the time being. Seismic Shove is good as popping both members back from the side of Conduit. And they're looking for a fight as they are quite strong here, but Dusk going to think better of it as we do get the first turret going over to the side of Dusk in that bot lane. So that jungle fight did pay off for them as they were able to pull away some of the attention from that turret. But they're going to have to play a little bit more safer as the goal lead and the item lead is still, for the most part, on the side of Conduit. But Icarus feeling pretty good about this top lane matchup. I mean, this is like Wall Street's at the point where you can't really even kill the Scion, and Scion just perma pushing. And I think the real question is in the late game, who's side laning against the Scion, because he can definitely be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's going to get to the point where we're going to be seeing multiple people being dragged away for this Scion, right? Because this is a Scion that has just built MR for now. Right, you need some physical damage. At the very least, Jarvan does a wonderful job of taking him out. But right now, Scribe's Bloom going to take away any possibility of that gank. At the very least, the Rift Herald is picked up as a consolation prize, but the bunny lives to fight another day.
Yeah, Wall Street on the unfortunate receiving end of one too many decimating smashes and does snuff out that one. But that is going to be another objective going over to the side of Dusk, and it's going to be the Neferi that picks it up. But you could definitely get a lot of map control for this upcoming objective, and they're closing in on Soul Point. So this next Drake is likely going to be heavily contested from Conduit, and that Rift Hero can come in handy in pushing some of those lanes when that happens.
I mean, Caleb, I gotta say, right? Usually taking a bunch of bonks to the head lowers your IQ, but Wall Street has been playing super, super well after those early deaths, right? I mean, this Aurora, the number one thing that I say that Aurora is really good at each and every time that I see her, is not dying. And Wall Street, despite those early 2 kills, has been doing a lot to mitigate the early lead coming in. And speaking of lead,
yeah, tidal wave going to be dropped as Encore is going to connect out to 3 members, full extension there, but unfortunately not going to get too much out of it as Outrage goes down yet again, and Rift Herald is going to be dropped. They're going to look for something in this top lane after losing that mid turret and their ADC, but just getting a few plate goals as Wall Street feeling confident, might try to go for a chase down as backup is on the way. Wall Street is low on mana, does have Between Worlds up though for some additional damage, but looks like Dusk is going to see this gank coming. They're trying to run to safety. Additional vision is dropped here as Kappa going for a potential gank. Not just going to slow them back.
I think he's just swag play.
Yeah. But we do have the Empowered Recall. Oh, wait. Oh, almost has the... yeah, as the Hex Tech Ray was almost able to do it. As the Seismic Shop does land, and Whimsical Rat just goes down in a huge gank. 3v1 there. They get something out of it as Icarus going back into lane to hold this turret as long as possible. And again, this Sion is going to be a problem, right? In this late game, they don't have much front line. They don't have any real champ that can skirmish 1v1 into Sion very easily. But Wall Street is here for some additional backup, and let's see if Conduit can maintain their lead or not. Because this late game is it's not like that heavily in their favor by any means.
Yeah, definitely not the most favored, I'd say. Now, one thing I will also note, right, is that this is an unending despair being built up on Icarus, on that Sion, and that's going to get to a point where Sion's going to be healing up quite a lot because it's based off of your total health, right? And every single one of these champions lacks healing, right? So Sion's really the only one who's going to be healing outside of the Seraphine. So it'd be hard-pressed to find a reason to build something like a Mortal Reminder. Now, the big question is, are you going to be able to just grit your teeth and go for a healing reduction item? Or are you instead just going to try to get that Giant Slayer if you're Whimsical Rat?
Yeah, and just look at this death ball from Dusk, right? I mean, it's just... They see them going for it, but how do they stop it, right? And they're just going to let them take that mid turret. As meanwhile, Seismic Shop is going to land, and Kappa get caught in a tough position. He's 6-0-2 right now. No shutdown gold though to his name, so wouldn't be the worst time to die, but you just don't want to die right now, especially when you're this far ahead. However, Action Mark is completed on Midnight's Neferi as well. So despite the kill lead for the J4, Midnight's still doing a good job of just hanging in there. Keeping things as close as possible, as Midnight does have a sizable CS lead. Oh, Enchanted Crystal Arrow is going to land onto the Nami, and the pursuit is on. Midnight going to be exhausted though, and might not be able to do so much as going to go invulnerable for a quick second, but Midnight just hanging on there, barely survives, does not though, and it's going to be the Lucian that takes the kill, but Midnight is going to grab up 2 kills. On top of it, Outrage picks up the kill onto Cap as well, and things are starting to fall apart for Conduit in these past few seconds, as meanwhile, it looks like Icarus going to try to go for the 1v1 kill, burns the flash to Wall Street, and Wall Street going to get to safety for now, but they're going to get some more plate golds, and things have just really spiraled after that one Crystal Enchanted Arrow, and, from long range there.
Yeah, extremely long range Enchanted Crystal Arrow there. I do think it's very funny that Midnight just hopped on in, misses the Q on the stunned Nami, but in the end, doesn't end up mattering too much. Islamic Samurai still ends up going down. The Lucian does as well, but right now, Whimsical Rat trying to get some redemption up in this top side. No real armor item completed on Icarus just yet, but once we see the Scion recall, it should be that Unending Despair fully completed just in time for the Dragon. Do not have the teleport available, but should be able to rotate onwards.
All right, Midnight going to take up the kill onto Samurai. That's going to reset the action mark as well. And Whimsical Rat going to be the next one to drop as the Fury starting to really output the damage. Seismic Shove also lands onto Kappa as Kappa's going to go down. Midnight finally goes down as well. But Wall Street is here for some additional backup. Oh, completely bursting down Outrage. in one shot, as there is a lot of magic damage coming out from the carries of Conduit. Drake is up, but both junglers are down. Let's see if either team considers contesting or not, as Icarus is here now for some additional assistance. But I think both teams are just going to fight for some prio, as this next Drake is going to be quite important. Could be Infernal Soul Point for Dusk, or they could pick up just another Infernal Drake for Conduit. And, they definitely need this extra damage as they face this tanky Scion.
Yeah, I mean, tanky Scion is one way to put it, but unkillable demon is another, right? Icarus right now flying very, very close to the sun. Now, the question is, will Conduit Esports Soul find a way how to actually punish it? A very tanky Scion sitting up in that front line, no grasp available, but is still able to hold on to all of this health.
All right, the tidal wave is going to be dropped, but the Weaver's Wall, and we get stolen from Kappa. He goes straight through it. A massive steal for Kappa and Conduits, but are they going to pay the price is question, as Kappa is going to go down. The pursuit is on, and here comes another kill. Frost going to go down to Outrage, and Islamic Samurai should be going down next. That's 3 kills going over straight for the cost of a Drake, and could be the cost of Baron. Might be the game on top of it, as this lead is starting to now grow in the favor of Dusk. They finally have a goal lead, 13-12. Yes, they gave up a Drake. A fantastic steal from Kappa, but once Kappa's down, that's your entire front line, and that was the problem with this composition for Conduits.
Oh my kingdom for the want of a horseshoe nail, says Jarvan. The single dragon does go down. The steal as a repayment for the steal earlier is a very good look. But losing the Baron for it, losing a crucial amount of damage for your team for it, is not worth it in the slightest. 12-13 at the very least. We're keeping things much, much closer in this game. Midnight doing a lot of damage on this Nefiri, but is it going to be enough damage to strike fear into the hearts of Conduit Esports Soul, or is Conduit just going to ignore the Nefiri and go straight to the backline trading?
Yeah, Nefiri now on 3 items. I mean, honestly, a really great pick into the composition of Conduits. Probably even better than they initially expected before you saw the rest of the team, right? But this is just like 4 squishies on the side of Conduit. So kind of an assassin's dream right there. And then, J4 is not really a tank by any means either. So getting a ton of value out of this jungle pick for the side of Dusk. And, they were a little bit behind in the early game, but they just kind of played out the macro well, try to get advantages wherever they can, and now they are starting to outscale a bit. Oh, Crystal Enchanted Arrow does land onto J4. Cyclone Shove is good, and Frost instantly goes down to those combos. No way around it. Didn't have any summoners either, but I don't think he had any opportunities to even press any buttons, and that's actually really big because if you had the Victor still up, defending this push could be quite nice, as the Tidal Wave does not connect onto anything, as Cataclysm does catch Jack, but Jack is still safely able to get out to safety. And Kappa doesn't go down for it either, but does have to burn the flash, and they shouldn't be able to get the turret on this one push. But meanwhile, Icarus getting a lot of value in the mid lane. Yeah, getting a turret. And mid lane turret is going to take a lot of damage as well, and they're just going to let the Scion do whatever he can, as the fight is going to continue, as Between Worlds going to be dropped, but Wall Street does go down. There's so much damage, and Icarus is now here for the fight. Decimating Smash going to knock up Kappa, and unfortunately the solo frontliner for the side of Conduit cannot do it enough for the team. Frost going to be the only one up here, as Weaver's Wall going to try to catch Frost. Frost trying to get out to safety. And so far is going to be able to juke some of this damage, some of the spells for sure, but they are taking so much turret damage. The turrets are going down quite quickly, as the Arcane Storm is going to be dropped, but I don't think Frost can hold off this onslaught by himself. Decimating Smash connects it yet again, and a few autos should close out game number 2 in favor of Dusk. Victor just can't do nothing. Icarus Immortal in these fights, and even if you take him out, he's got the zombie for to close it out, but not needed at all, as XSV heads to match points on a 2-0 victory here to start things off.
XSV Dusk going to be in a very, very strong start. Midpoint, I don't even know at this point, because game number 1 was so dominant. Game number 2, a lot more back and forth, but still the very calm and controlled finish from XSV Dusk. And it was all about those enchanted crystal arrows, right? It was, I gotta say, right, I feel for Frost, because you die one time in the bot lane and just immediately lose the game for it. That has got to feel bad, right? Yeah. Especially because, just think about it, right? You're Victor, you're sitting on the map, wave is coming in, and you think to yourself, oh, well, you know what? It's Baron buff, but I'm Victor. I should be fine. I'm gonna wave clear. It'll be okay. You get slammed by a frozen arrow. You're told to dance. You get the dog sicked on you and shoved through a field of rocks. Like, it is not a good time if you're Frost there, right? Just so much damage coming on in from getting hit by one arrow one time.
Yeah, and Outrage, doing a lot of turret damage for sure. I actually thought that Icarus was going to lead the charge on that one, but again, I think this really comes down to more of a draft diff than anything else, right? Because the early game was great for the side of Conduits, but at a certain point, how do you deal with the Scion? How do you frontline for the team? And the gamble, unfortunately, did not pay off despite their early leads. And Icarus was kind of thriving in lane, too, in the early stages, right? That early 1v1 kill was fantastic. And he just got beefier and beefier as the game went on. But that does mean that XSV is up 2-0 against Conduit. Conduit's going to have to win a game here to have a chance to even force a game number 5. But we're going to take a quick break before we get back into game number 3 and find out what happens. Welcome back, everyone, to Titan Esports. We're in the quarterfinals of Divinity League, and we are also on match point. XSV Dusk 2-0 so far over Conduit Esports. So I'm Caleb Payne. I'm joined with Anti. How you feeling after those first two games?
Honestly, how I'm feeling is one question. How is Conduit Esports feeling after those first two games? That's the big question that's on my mind, because those two games were, I mean, game number one felt really, really good for XSV Dusk. Game number two, a lot more back and forth. We started seeing glimpses of hope. We started seeing like the standard composition actually fight back. But on one side, you had a standard composition that had a strong 2v2 bot lane that didn't quite pan out. On the other side, you had a strong composition that had a 2v2 bot lane that's based around a team fight, right? And when you have a team fighting bot lane versus a strong laning bot lane, when you get to the team fight portion of the game, it's kind of hard to beat the team fight team.
Yeah, it is. And it was a tough game for Kappa as well, too, being their only frontliner for the entire game. Had a fantastic start to start things off, though. What was 6-0 and 4 or something like that? 6-4
That
and 2.
Charbon was something.
Yeah, but unfortunately, things kind of started falling a little bit apart for the rest of the team, and Midnight really popping off on Nefiri with pretty much just no tanks on the side of Conduit. That's easy pickings for the Nefiri, especially with Axiom Arc, just, resetting that ultimate kill after kill. Yeah, tough one. Let's see if Conduit is able to find a way, though. They are facing off against essentially an undefeated team in this quarterfinals, and they already had their work cut out for themselves, but doesn't mean they're out of it just yet, as they did have a strong early lead in that second game, and anything can still happen. As a reminder, this is Fearless format as well, so all the Champions C grayed out in the bottom are not eligible for this game or subsequent games, as we get the Yone banned out first. The respect ban to Frost.
Yeah, the respect ban, I mean, you understand that this player is very good at it. It's been working really well. Why not just keep the same 3 bans, right? XSV Dusk has been doing so good in these first 2 games. Very solid, very strong. And now that you have a few more of those, backline diving champions off the table, Mel might return as one of those things that you want to be keeping an eye on, right? And one other thing with the return to blue side, XSV Dusk is once again being told, hey, you have to make sure that you have a strong blind pick available here. Honestly, I wouldn't be too hard pressed to see a Lulu, right? We might see like Lulu and then pivot that into Kog'Maw or something along those lines. In the meantime, what are we going to see? Varus.
Okay.
I like this. I like this a lot, actually.
Varus bots or
Varus,
because I've seen some Varus pop. I mean, it could be flex, of course, likely in the bot side, but
so the thing about Varus as a first pick is that it can be flexed. I don't think it should be flexed. I think that Varus AD carry is one of the best blind picks in the game right now. He can be played lethality. He can be played on hit. He can be played crit. Please, if you've never tried crit Varus, I'm not an insane person. It's really good. Anyway, Cassante going to be picked up on that top side. I would not be playing Varus into that thing, right? I mean, Cassante, just an absolute monster of a tank. And Mel, seeing her debut on the Rift. Now, I'm not sure if I really love this per se, because it does mean that you do open yourself up to some backline divers, right? So there is still a lot available for Frost. I mean, Akali is on the board, right? A Mumu actually going to be picked up here. So it's a Mumu misfortune. Y'all have to make sure to ban Milio, because otherwise that Mel is going to hit W and y'all are not going to have a good time, right? Immediate Milio ban. There we go. Conduit Esports Soul doing their homework.
Yeah, it's this could go still many different ways here, but looks like it is very likely going to be a Varus bot, unless this is like some York jungle nonsense. But we'll get the Nivea banned out, and a lot of these will probably be some type of support / mid targeted bans, as we still have 2 final picks on both sides here. And the final ban out is going to be the Wukong.
All right. What do we
Interesting.
see here?
Why would they ban the Wukong when the Mumu? I mean, I guess it could be like a Mumu support. You know, they want to play it on the safer side. Seems unlikely, but you never know. Oh, we get the Malphite pickup. Okay.
I think it's a Mumu support.
Could be a Mumu support. Could be Malphite support too, though. There are options.
I think that would be an incorrect pick, just
I don't
virtue
disagree.
of like existing. Right.
I have also seen a Cassante support in one of my games before, and despite the fact that we won it, it was not my favorite thing to play with. As we get the Rel pickup for the side of Dusk, and we get Kane. Okay, not something we see super often, but in the right hands, could be quite good. Like it's going to be a red Kane here, as
red Kane's definitely playable, and we have very standard positions for a lot of these champions. Mumu support is something that a lot of people have been sleeping on lately. Has very quietly been coming back into play here. And one thing that's very nice about a Mumu is that if you got that bandage toss going, you land the bandage toss, it brings you to the opponent, right? Wonderful thing if you are the Mumu player. If you're playing against a Mel and she hits W, that still accomplishes the same exact thing if you're the Amumu, right? So you got to be a little bit careful if you are Jack on this Mel, but we're going to have to see what this turns into on the Rift. I said before that, 2v2 team is not necessarily going to be doing the greatest into the team fighting team. If you look at Conduit's comp right here, that is the most push R and pray team that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it is in fact going to be the Mumu support. XSV Dawn did snuff that out though, as they were, noticed that maybe they should ban out the Wukong, which did pan out to be pretty successful. But Malphite going to be the jungler choice. Has a lot of potential and closing power, especially into that Varus. So we're gonna have to definitely play as safe as possible. On that, if you're outraged, as they're already trying to do some stuff, and we burn our early flash on Frost, which is quite nice for Jack, as things will go on throughout the game. Oh, and outrage taking a ton of damage as well too.
Yeah, taking a decent chunk of damage. Actually gonna be recalling here. I disagree with this one. I think that you just pop the health pod and stay. There we go. All right, Outrage going to be in the bot lane with that Varus. Does have that piercing arrow available, but doesn't have much in terms of the health. In the meantime, Springroll trying to keep her AD carry as healthy as possible, but you don't have an enchanter this time. Instead, you are playing that Rel. Should still be able to do quite a bit in terms of the disengage options. Oh, another bandage toss comes through.
Long distance bandage toss there. Not too much follow-up damage though for the time being, but could be a pretty aggressive bot lane in both respects, right? A lot of engage on the Rel. Meanwhile, again, Frost did burn that flash early, so gonna have to play maybe a little bit safer in some of these exchanges. Walsh and Icarus just, you know, exchanging some blows here or there. But looking at the draft, I mean, I feel like Conduit has a slightly easier draft to play. But if you do lose, you know, this early to mid game, then things could be pretty annoying, especially with that York constantly split pushing.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that they do have the easier comp to play because it's not really that much in terms of how are we positioning, how are we doing this. It's just hit R at the same time, you win game. Like, very, very simple, very, very easy. In the meantime, this Amumu, a thorn in their sides, Outrage is going to be able to do a lot to Islamic Samurai here, but the exhaust comes on through.
All right, Outrage going to take a good chunk of damage as Whimsical Rat is going to focus onto his Bear as much as possible. The Shattering Strike does actually miss, though, on Whimsical Rat. Otherwise, that probably would have been a guaranteed kill. And Islamic Samurai just landing every single bandage toss that he's been throwing so far. However, they are under turret, and Islamic Samurai actually trying to go for it. I don't know. It's probably best that he actually missed that, as Midnight is here for some additional assistance. Kane going to go for the flash
barrier.
Which go rat, but the barrier does save Outrage, and things are starting to turn not in so much of Conduit's favor. Burning the flash from Samurai. Very aggressive plays from Whimsical Rat, but unfortunately did not pay off. And this recall is a little bit greedy, but Islamic Samurai is able to get out there safely. Let's take a quick look at the replay and see, you know, this reaction time from Outrage was pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, Whimsical Rat goes on and says there is no chance that Outrage has a way to survive here. Unfortunately for Whimsical Rat, the barrier was not yet used. This is something that you got to do each and every time that you take a big fight. Ping the enemy laners summoners. If it says that they used it, then they used it. If it doesn't say that they used it, you know for a fact they still got that up. But in the meantime, Jack has to flash on out. We're getting a little bit of a scuffle here for Midnight, but this Kane is slippery. But how long are you going to be able to slide away from all of your sins?
Yeah, Midnight going the opposite direction that he should be going to, but trying to find a way out of it as Islamic Samurai landing every bandage toss still to this date. Kappa going to be the one to pick it up with the Seismic Shard. Looking back on the replay too, it was actually Whimsical Rat actually flashed and autoed the turret, so it wasn't even a fast reaction time from Outrage. It was just that Whimsical Rat unfortunately just misclicked, or maybe wanted to exchange flash for a turret play. I doubt it, but that unfortunately did cost Whimsical Rat's life, as Whimsical Rat is running the cleanse instead of the barrier in comparison to that Varus.
I mean, how whimsical can you stay, right? I mean, when you flash forward in that bot lane, you're just struggling there. This is going to be that lethality Varus coming on through. Remember, it is XSV Dusk who have that Mel, so they're not going to be the ones worried too much about that rebuttal. But in the meantime, it is going to be a lot of damage coming on through for this bot lane. The poke damage coming in from Outrage. At the very least, Springroll might not have the greatest all-in partner for her, but she is going to be able to lock down the side of Conduit Esports Soul, and all of these skill shots are guaranteed to land, hopefully, right? I mean, I'm just saying, we did see a few skill shots go awry in the last game onto some Sun targets, but it's neither here nor there. It was game number 3, a new day, a new dawn, and a new opportunity for Conduit Esports Soul to mount that comeback.
I don't know if I fully agree with the poke Varus option here. I mean, you got a Cassante, Malphite. I mean, and even the Mumu is going to get pretty tanky. So, like, I think in this laning phase, that's a different story, right? But this late game kind of might be a little tricky, I feel like. What do you think?
So I understand the hesitation here, Caleb, but one thing that I will also note about Lethality Varus is Lethality Varus actually does a lot of % max health damage regardless of whether or not it's on hit, right? So you can see right there, the piercing arrow actually not going to be able to connect, so we're not going to be able to pop any of those blight stacks, but in the end, it's a matter of getting a chance to actually play the game, right? So on-hit Varus does a lot of damage. We're not going to be talking about the Varus build anymore. We're going to be talking about this fight.
Springbro going to have to pop the heal to get to safety, but this looks like it's going to be a pretty easy Drake for Conduit, and they have some potential reinforcements here too, so you can't really continue pushing this fight on the side of Dusk. And Kappa feeling a lot better about this game as he has a little bit more additional assistance on the front line, and Malphite himself is actually quite beefy in itself too. So it's going to have a little bit more of a easier game, I would say, compared to the last one. So far, everything's pretty even across the board. As I think we're just going to take some additional turret damage, and Wall Street feeling pretty comfortable on this turret. Yes. Oh, Spider Despair does land onto Jack, though. Jack not having the rebuttal up or available. It takes so much damage from Frost. And that damage is only going to get scarier and scarier as the later this game goes on. Soul Snare not going to do much. But Frost is out of mana, and Midnight found the perfect time to catch Frost in a tough position. Frost going to be forward, bro. The Unstoppable Force is going to land onto the Mel. Kappa feeling fun about this one as the Shattering Strike does stun up Kappa, but I don't know if they have enough damage to really win this fight, as Islamic Samurai is in the thick of it. Kappa is actually quite low now. Kane ultimate going to be popped, and it's going to be Midnight that picks up that kill, and actually they're actually starting to turn things around a bit, as this Amumu is still going to be kind of a pain. Curse of the Sad Mummy is not available yet, as he is still level 5, but I just don't think they can kill him off very easily either. As Frost still dishing out as much damage as possible with the limited mana he has. Islamic Samurai flashes forward for the Bandage Toss, but does not connect, and Midnight just going to farm up the jungle, and now Islamic Samurai might finally go down. Slight overextension there, and it's been so long that Jack is back into lane, and so is Kappa as well. But overall, though, that ended up turning out quite good for Dusk.
Yeah, turns out quite good for Dusk, even in that bot lane, right? Outrage just barely managing to get away from that bullet time, able to live after burning both sums. But no matter where you look on the map, it just seems to be more and more just upwards trends for the side of Dusk. At the very least, Whimsical Rat was able to get close to that kill, but it's not going to amount to too much more. In the meantime, top lane, the Gremlins are making it a little bit difficult for this Yorick to actually make use of all of that laning pressure into this Cassante. The minions are also not going too hot for the side of Icarus here. Wall Street just getting more and more of those stonks, but in the meantime, this Lethality Varus is going to be nowhere near these grubbies as they go down, and I don't think we're going to be seeing the contest from this Kane. Dragon's also not available, so it's just going to be a matter of farming while those grubs are going down. I do like that XSV Dusk is not opting to just go up and watch the objective be taken. It's something that I criticized Conduit Esports Soul for in that last game, where it was a lot of what seemed to be, you know, we have a big objective that we want to contest, but there's no way we can contest it, but we gotta show up, we gotta try, and it just turns into watching the objective be taken from the side like you're sitting in a chair in the hotel.
That's right. Oh, as the Chains of Corruption does land onto Whimsical Rat. Whimsical Rat just goes instantly down with a combo. Shattering Strike not even having a chance to land before he dies. Islamic Samurai here to clean up, but unfortunately showed up a little bit too late. And great Chains of Corruption from Outrage and the combo from Springbro to, close that out. As Kappa is here, though, so is Midnight. So they're going to have to play this a little bit carefully, as Unstoppable Force is available. Kappa, though, doesn't want to really burn it just on the Kane. As the Bandage comes through, and here comes the combo play from the Unstoppable Force. Outrage, though, walking off the damage because there's no more damage after that. And
where's the
Misfortune
follow-up?
Not there for the follow-up. However, bulk time is available now. If they could get another great stun, it could be okay, as Islamic Samurai has been sitting on this level 5 for a hot minute. Actually, 3 levels down. Finally
There we go.
That level 6, and Curse of Sad Mummy is now finally available for some use. That's 30 seconds until Drake is going to be spawning. I think Islamic Samurai probably going to hold on to it for that crucial objective.
Yeah, in the meantime, Midnight on this Kayn, getting 2 kills early on is extremely, extremely important. Going to be able to pick up that Eclipse, and most importantly, going to be able to be relevant for these fights. That dragon is coming up very, very soon, and if you have a Kayn that is able to force the enemy front line to turn around to try to deal with that backline diver, then your backline actually gets a chance to play the game, right? That's the #1 way how to deal with dive compositions. You backline trade, and if you can get a backline trade going in your favor, it's going to be feeling very, very good for the side of XSV Dusk. The dragon is started up, and it seems like we're not going to have too much contest at the dragon itself. The bot lane 2v2, on the other hand, very eventful.
Oh, pole time's going to be used, and it's going to be perfectly layered with the Curse of Sad Mummy, stunning up both the Varus and the Rel. Somehow, Outrage still surviving it, and Spring Roll gets out there too. Absolutely wild, but a Magnet Storm going to slow up some of that damage, and that looks so good for Conduits. But Dusk gets out there scot-free.
I'm going to be so real with you, Caleb. The fact that Outrage does not take cleanse and does not get punished for it is wild to me, right? This Varus just barely going to be able to survive, and that's a flash ult from Kappa Crusader. I don't think that there's any deaths that went through because of it.
No, yeah.
That's a big cooldown.
Piercing Arrow almost stops recall from Windschool Rat, but not going to be the case, as 2-0-0 right now on Outrage, and Outrage already starting off a fantastic game for him in this 3rd game. Again, this is match point for XSV Dusk, so they're looking to try to close out this quarterfinals week as soon as possible, but Conduit not going to go down without a fight. But speaking of fights here, Wall Street caught in a tough position, going to try to fight it out, but the King goes in for the ultimates. Icarus taking some of that damage as well. Really well played, juggling that turret aggro on that top side.
We're not hitting the tower?
Go down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, there we go. All right, juicy pop on that top lane tower. A lot of gold injected into this Yorick. I do believe that that should be not quite yet at the Triforce, but at the very least, you know, you got a decent bit of a ways closer. So right now, Outrage and Spring Roll just gonna continue to farm up in this bot side. You know, you're playing the disengaged bot lane is what you'd hope from the lethality Varus, but instead it is the engaged bot lane that still manages to come through. Spring Roll has been playing phenomenally on this rel to keep Outrage alive. I'm gonna say it. Outrage has been stepping up in a lot of these fights, and that's the kind of trust you can only get in a support that you played so many games with, right? Spring Roll playing very, very well on this support, like whether it's the Braum, the Seraphine, or the Rel, it's just been very, very good play, and keeping this AD carry alive and playing the game is the way how it's meant to be played. Who cares about how much damage you do as a support when you can simply let your AD carry do it all?
That's right. Oh, as looks like Kappa and Midnight go to fight for this red buff, but the fight is going to continue after that, as Midnight does have the low advantage. However, might be caught in a tough position as Frost and the Islamic Samurai are here. Flash going to be burned, but Unstoppable Force is going to be thrown up. Inspiring Despair does not land, though. Goes a little bit wide, but Curse of Sad Mummy is going to lock things down. So Shutdown goes over the Kappa, but now Jack and Spring Roll are here for the additional assistance. Shattering Strike is going to stun up Islamic Samurai. Also gets snared up. And Wall Street just has to sit there and watch as Jack going to pick up 2 kills back to back. And Icarus still looking to push even further on this top lane. So yes, they do get the jungler on the side of XSV Dusk, but the response from the rest of the team was super fast and managed to pick up 2 of their own kills.
Yeah, and another plate going over to Outrage. Just so much gold being poured into this AD carry. And what looked to be so good for the side of Conduit Esports, they said, hey, you know what, we managed to find a way how to get ourselves back into this game, and all of a sudden Mel comes in, has so much magic pen and no magic resist on the side of Conduit Esports to actually stop all of that damage. It's a lot of health, but it's not going to be able to save you from this Mel. Golden Clip still available on top of it. And Jack with double buffs, I think, is not something that Frost was counting on.
No, definitely not. That'll make the laning phase a little bit more annoying for sure. As both pretty much have the same exact items. One with a Dark Seal, though, so they're starting to stack up a little bit. But otherwise, this mid lane matchup has been a little bit more even compared to the past two series, or past two games, I should say. But things are still looking pretty good for XSV Dusk, as they have a 2k gold lead. And they still scale pretty hard in the late game as well, as Change of Corruption does go wide. Midnight is here for a potential gank, but it's going to be spotted out with this ward, and Kappa is here for the additional assistance. Unstoppable Force is ready to go. The real question is, do they have the damage to burst down after the combo, right? They got a lot of wombo combo options, but the damage output itself is kind of resting just in Hui and Misfortune's hands. As here it goes, Banishot's going to come through as the bullet time is layered up, but the Magnet Storm is going to slow it down. TP coming through for now, and it looks like the fight is going to continue as Kappa is running around here and trying to do as much as he can. Spiral Despair is going to connect onto Outrage, and Outrage actually flashes into Jack to do some additional damage, but the Golden Eclipse takes out Kappa. And so far, just a 1-for-1 trade. A lot of skirmishing, though, going on there. And surprised that it only led to 1 death on each side.
Yeah, 1-for-1 trade, but the Dragon is up, and one of those people on the side of Conduit Esports was Kappa Crusader. So this Dragon is going to be going down, and the Chemtech Drake is so influential for the side of XSV Dusk. If you are a Kayn and you see a Chemtech Soul as a possibility, you are licking your lips with joy. Especially that Red Kayn going to be able to survive for so much longer in these fights. I do believe that that is a Black Cleaver being built up for the side of Midnight here, and that's going to be doing so much work for XSV Dusk, going to be allowing a lot of these carries to do more of this damage. You're going to be keeping that Cassante in the side lane for absolutely forever, but in the meantime, Outrage more than happy about reduced armor.
That's right. And these 80 carries just exchanged some blows here. Whimsical Rat still looking for his first kill, but the damage is not enough right now from this Misfortune, you know, even landing that ultimate, and, you know, great plays from Spring Roll to slow down that bull time, as Kappa and Wall Street looking for a potential gank, but this York is not easy to kill. Wall Street just trying to take out the maiden at this point, but here comes Midnight, and Midnight is not as scared to skirmish. They're going to be under turret very soon, but Wall Street already going so low as a Cassante. And Kayn, wait, hold on, doesn't take out Wall Street yet, goes for the ultimate, but finally goes down. And now the turret, they're just juggling the aggro, and now they're just going to take out this turret before Kappa can get out here. And now Kappa is going to die, followed up from his top laner. Icarus going to be the one to pick up the kill. And this top side for Dusk has been super strong in these games and continues to do so in game number 3.
This is just cyberbullying at this point. I mean, I think the best option that Conduit Esports have right now is the mid-game report, and hopefully Riot Games can come through, stop XSV Dusk from this 3-0, because it seems all but inevitable here. The flash for flash trade in the bot lane, Enchanted Crystal Arrows, not in this game actually, it's going to be bullet time also going to be denied, and a lot of lockdown for the bot laners. Hold on, I might have spoken a little too soon.
All right, TP coming through from Wall Street. I don't know if it's even needed, as another bandage charge from long distance lands onto Spring Roll. Spring Roll able to get out for now, and I don't think they could really chase Spring Roll any further down into his turret, as a lot of the damage and cooldowns were spent, bullet time in particular, so they don't have to lock down. But they do take out the carry, which is quite nice. However, they are trading a lot for it, as Wall Street did TP down in his bot lane. He is going to just start moving into his bot lane, but meanwhile, Icarus on this York is eating good on his top side. Free farming turrets and minions.
All right, but Midnight coming into the spot lane. What is this going to be? This is an aggressive Herald. It's going to be directly onto Wall Street. I'm not sure if you win this 1v1. All Out is available. You got to be careful.
I think so. Yeah, as holding on to it for a time being, waiting for that Kane ultimate to come out. But here comes the All Out. Probably not even needed as Islamic Samurai is there. Unfortunate shutdown just given over to K'Sante for free. Maybe Midnight feel himself a little too much there, as he was also a level down onto a K'Sante, and K'Sante has Stormmill completed as well. So that was not going to be an easy fight either way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very tanky champion, right? We already
Yes.
knew this when it came to K'Sante, right? One of those champions that just does so much damage, especially if you're not prepared. In the meantime, the Black Cleaver finally going to be finished up for Midnight. You're going to be able to do a lot of work in this back line. And when I say a lot of work, a lot of setup work at making sure that his carries can actually do the damage that they're consigned to do, right? You're not expecting Kane to be able to one-shot some of these backliners just in the same way that you're not expecting this Mel to be able to get a chance to play the game with all of this backline diving potential from the Malphite.
That's right. And XSV Dusk still having a slight gold lead, but nothing too crazy. I think the real question is, how are you going to stop this York, right? York 1-0-2 so far, just kind of free farming, splitting these lanes. And Wall Street, very important in a lot of these team fights, but you can see every time he goes away from it, it just allows Icarus to farm even more. And Frost can't really solo lane against this York right now. You can see Frost just...
Can anyone?
You know, yeah, getting chipped quite a bit. When I think better of it, it's got to be Wall Street, I think, but Wall Street is in this bottom lane, and this is the power York, right? Just playing York as it should be, right? Some Yorks you see they play a split comp, split pushing comp, but they TP the York in for more team fights than they should. But Icarus just feeling confident with the rest of the team and how they can maintain their advantages, and just going to do his job.
Yeah, just gonna do his job. Honestly, I'm a little bit interested in what York's gonna build here. I do believe that it's gonna be the Sundered Sky, but in the meantime, Midnight not focusing on build, instead focusing on the turnaround. There goes the cursed. I'm just gonna hand it over to you. Hold on.
It's okay. It's going to be Spring World that picks up the kill onto the Mumu. And you can see Midnight not scared at all about fighting any of these. And now they have a 4v4 despite the fact that Wall Street is TPing over here. And here comes Icarus as well for additional assistance. Midnight just in the thick of it. He don't care at all. He wants to skirmish as Frost is going to go down next. And Jack is going to be the one to pick that up as Kappa is stuck here. There's just not enough damage right now between all of them. And now we're just free firing as the bullet time is finally dropped. However, no kills going over to Whimsical Rats in this exchange. Golden Eclipse going to do some additional damage. Wall Street going to go down. And this is looking like kind of a delayed ace in a way, as Islamic Samurai is coming back up. But that's essentially a full ace team wipe. And only the Rel goes down in that fight. Now, Chemtech Soul Point is theirs. Chemtech Soul on the horizon. And things are starting to spiral a little bit out of control for Dusk as we head into this mid-game, and they do not look like they're slowing down anytime soon.
Not anytime soon. Definitely seems to be the forecast on the horizon. But right now, the biggest question that I have is, what do Conduit Esports Seoul need in order to get back into this game, Caleb? Because they have that 5v5 team composition, right? And we said before, or that this is a push R composition, right? You get into the position where you can hit all of your big buttons all at once, and it's so good for your team as long as everyone is grouped up. But XSV Dusk don't care to play that game. They have their York in the side lane. They say, all right, well, just take as many towers as you can every time that a team fight's coming up. We'll just take the 4v5. It'll be fine. And they just split it up into small skirmishes. They don't go for any full-on big commitments here or there. They just say, all right, we're just going to take a little bit of a fight here, a little bit of a tussle over there. Arcane's going to hit R and buy a billion years of time. And once again, it seems like XSV does just have a better grasp as to what their game plan is. The Baron is available. Are you going to be going for it? The jungler is right there.
Yeah, and it looks like TP is going to come through from the Yorick, and Kappa going to be the one to welcome Icarus, but has to kind of back off for now as Walsh going to be caught between 5 members. Jack on the meld now dominating. There's a big pick off. Way not even in the fight, and this looks like it's going to be another Baron in this third game going over the side of XSV Dusk. I mean, a good late bowl time can do something here, but they don't really have any vision on this at all. And do they just give this up or contest? It looks like they want to try to contest. Icarus going to buy some space for the rest of the team, but they're just going to collapse here for a time being as Curse Tap Mummy going to stun things up for bits as bullet time is massive from Whimsical Rat, even though maybe not picking up a lot of kills, but health bars are in the red. But now Whimsical Rat going to have to run and flash his way to safety as the rest of the team is starting to die off. Frost has no mana, and the Soul Snare is huge. Golden Eclipse not even needed as Jack is now legendary, and Whimsical Rat going to lose the 1v1 in the ADC matchup. That's going to be another ace, and all for the cost of the York, and this might be the game as they already have a lot of pushing power, but with Baron buffed to minions, that can be a disaster. 2 minutes for this Soul going to be spawning up here as Midnight actually, yeah, they got a little bit extra damage. I think Midnight should be okay, but Springwell going to be a homie and tank for her jungler as much as possible. I mean, she
popped the heal too.
Yeah, okay. That Baron actually, I mean, this season, Baron does go down a little bit harder than it has in the past, but it still is going to be secured up from the side of SSV Dusk. And, you know, the team fighting, the collapsing from the team across the board, just fantastic, right? They saw the opening and they said, you know what? If you want to fight us, we will turn the fight on to you.
Yeah, and it looked so good for Conduit Esports Seoul. It was exactly what we were mentioning earlier, where their one opportunity is get everyone to group up, you know, get a big misfortune ult or something along those lines, and we called it out, right? We said, hey, you know, watch the misfortune. But in the end, even those ideal moments don't quite work out. It got scary for a bit for XSV Dusk, but they're not dropping this lead anytime soon. And there goes the Amumu. Once again, mid lane does not come to fruition for the side of Conduit Esports Seoul. No ultimate left on Malphite either. And the 1v1 is still painful for the side of this Cassante.
Yeah, he'll have to try and do something, but there's no turret to back him up at this point in time, as Wall Street does have the all-out if it comes to it, but just getting chunked away as much as possible. Oh my gosh, look at Whimsical Rats, and Golden Eclipse is going to take him out. Can't do nothing about it. Jack is 9-1-3 on this Mel. I mean, Mel does have a lot of XQ damage, so picking up those kills should be no hard feat for Jack, but still 9 kills already in under 30 minutes is quite nice for this mid laner. Been playing fantastic, honestly, across the entire series, as they're looking to try to close out this game as soon as possible. However, Outrage is pretty low on health. Islamic Samurai does go for the bandage toss, but there's just no damage to follow it up, and just going to be donating another kill over. Spouting Despair going to connect onto Midnight, but Midnight can tank that damage no problem, especially with the Merc Treads. And meanwhile, Icarus takes out a kill on the top side. Walsh goes down, and this is just entire game is all over the map in favor of Dusk.
Yeah, I mean, Islamic Samurai really wanted to join the party there, but might as well be playing that surprise party of Mumu, because just gonna get denied immediately, right? The entirety of XSV Dusk minus Icarus to say, no, we don't want you here. Just go back home. I don't care how tanky you are. All of your items mean nothing to me. Just go to the next game. I don't care if it's going to be our game. I don't care if it's going to be your game. It might as well be the end of the series here, because XSV Dusk now is sitting on an 11,000 gold lead.
And with Chemtech Soul on top of it, I mean, everyone on the team is firing on all cylinders. Dust and Dawn completed up for the Varus as well. 4 items. I mean, closing in on 4 items for the Mel. That's just a lot of damage, and it doesn't matter how tanky you are, even into lethality affairs, you're not going to be enjoying these matchups. As you can see, Outrage almost the same level as the top laner. Wall Street going to pop the all out for some additional damage, just try to get the safety, but there is no safety for him on this map. 4 members strong, collapsing onto this bot lane. It looks like this might be close to the final push for the side of XSV Dusk. Meanwhile, Icarus just 1v2 in here, being a complete nuisance. There's just no one that can match him right now.
Caleb, somebody check Frost's account, because I did not know that you could put ultimates from your champion onto everyone else, because the entirety of Conduit Esports is just a state of spiraling despair right now. It's so tough here, but look at the fight. One last hurrah, and it doesn't seem to go well for Conduit Esports Seoul.
No, they're just getting completely exploded. I mean, the pocketbooks are just way too big of a difference right now. They landed everything wanted to, but it did not matter. They're just way too far behind. That's going to be an ace, a double kill for the Kane on top of it. Fantastic performance across the board. 30-8, 3-0. XSV Dusk takes the series against Conduit Esports.
Yeah, 3-0 and a handshake. XSV Dusk making it look simple. And the thing is, it wasn't, right? Conduit Esports Seoul came into this after a grueling 5-game series last week, did what they could to make it difficult. They brought out the crazy picks. They brought out the strong laning champions. They brought out the big playoff ideas, but it wasn't enough. XSV Dusk going to be able to put an end to their playoff story. Conduit Esports Seoul going to be dropping it down 0-3.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, you can see Frost doing whatever he can. I mean, and honestly, a lot for the misfortune too, but they just did not have the same damage to outputs. I don't know. I mean, the draft looked decent, right? But I think SSV Dusk just, their macro stronger, their lane presence was stronger, and they just were just slowly inching their way ahead until the lead was just way too insurmountable. And of course, you're doing your things. Great performance across the board, honestly, from Dusk. I'm excited to see how they perform in the semifinals. So they're looking to continue their undefeated ways. But that's going to do it for us in this quarterfinals. I mean, you know, this was going to be a hard matchup for Conduit no matter what. They were definitely going up against a very fierce rival. And unfortunately for them, Dusk to come out on top. But that's going to do it for us. Fantastic series. We will be here next Monday as well for Divinity League for the semifinals. And I'm very excited to see how that pans out. But big shout out again to you, Anti, for being my co-caster. And of course, Rogan on Broadcast and Little Game Star to observe everything and everyone that tuned in. Any final words from you?
I mean, honestly, all I can say is to everyone watching, thank you. Right? It's always been a wonderful time throughout the entirety of Divinity League, throughout the entirety of Titan Esports, and we've got so many more series available for us. So this isn't a goodbye. I just want to say thank you once again for tuning in and making these things a possibility. So make sure that you catch the rest of the week of games. We got so many playoff goodness for you to be able to take a part of. And if this is quarterfinals, semifinals is bound to be even more of a banger. We've gotten 2 3-0s back to back. If semifinals is also 3-0, might as well make it the finals as well, right? You know, finals all just 3-0s all the way down. But what I really want to see is some good League of Legends, and we're already getting that. So make sure to tune in to every single Titan Esports broadcast. We got a lot this week.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, if you want to support Titan Esports, check out the merch at flfesports.com and search for the Titan Esports tab. They got some great merch, so feel free to grab some yourself. And until next time, we'll catch you all next Monday. Peace.